Hi, welcome back to Say More Words. I am so happy you are here. My name is Tamika Taylor, your hostess with the mostest, and our song of the day. I had to look up the artist who sings it. It's kind of a downer, not a downer, but it's a make you thinker, and it's Five for Fighting 100 Years. And why it's that song? One, because I came on the radio recently. It made me so weepy. Made me so weepy. And it's appropriate for today's episode because today uh, I am going to read you and kind of tell you the thoughts that I had um, when I wrote a letter to my unhealed self. I just turned 35 yesterday. So yesterday, November 6th of 2023, I turned 35. And whenever a birthday comes around, I become really reflective. And over the last year, the last decades, all of those things, and all that I've accomplished, since turning 25, since turning 15. And somebody recently asked me, they said, what would you say to your unhealed self? Or what does your unhealed self need to hear? Or what did your unhealed self need to hear? And I was like, that is such a profound question. What did my unhealed self need to hear? And who did she need? And unhealed self is, and this is, to be very clear, is I'm going to tell you, it doesn't mean that I'm fully healed. I don't think we're ever fully healed until we go off into our next life. But these are all the things that I wish I would have heard growing up. Or I think that the younger version of me would love to hear is better. Um, Thinking about the topic, like unhealed versus healed, and, at the level of healed I am now, what would have been so very comforting to me as a young kid, as a young girl, as a teenager, going through breakups and things like that. Like, what did I need to hear that would have been just so very comforting? Also, I really truly believe that the version of the version of me that I am today is so much stronger, and my younger self would be really, really proud of who I am today, specifically on how I view myself and how I show up in the world and how authentically me I am. And so I've got my blanket, I've got my comfort, and I've got my list. And so if you're watching this on YouTube or you're watching it on Spotify, you can just set the phone down and listen, because really I'm just going to be looking at my screen, and you all know that I don't have very many episodes like this, but I wanted to type out my words because it's a little bit easier that way to type them out as opposed to kind of going off. But there's going to be some sections where I go off too. Just a little bit of a trigger warning for people. I am going to be talking about trauma. I am going to be talking about mistakes. I am going to be talking about, um, you know, really hard topics. So if those are things that trigger you, then I highly suggest you stop listening. But if not, by all means. And this is just my words, my stories, and my experience. So my experience doesn't make anybody wrong. It doesn't make anybody bad. It's just these are the things that the younger unhealed version of me needed to hear. So I hope you enjoy. Um, Dear baby Tamika, I am so very thankful for who you are and how you show up in the world. I am so very sorry that at some point someone said something that made you feel less than, made you feel unworthy, or made you feel like you couldn't show up because of your weight. I'm so very sorry, and you would be happy to know that being too much is kind of our brand, and we rock it. We do a really good job at it. You're often told that you were too much, too loud, too talkative, and too everything. But that's who you were meant to be. And now that I am healed, and now that I show up that way, people expect it and they love it. Dear teenager me, I really hate that you struggled with your weight. I hate that you felt that not eating was more important than being healthy or taking care of yourself. I'm really sorry that at the age of 9, everyone started to tell you who you needed to be for everybody else. You were a really good big sister, daughter, friend, and you got lost somewhere in that mix. I'm really sorry, and I want you to know that even though people tell you repeatedly that you want to be a doctor and deep down inside you want to be a teacher, I want you to know that your little girl dream does come true. You do teach. You tried the doctor thing, it didn't work, and it's okay. Dear teenage Tamika, I want you to know that every trial, every mistake, every friendship lost, every bad experience wipes away eventually. I want you to know that not all people are bad and not all people are going to leave you. I want you to know that at some point you're going to have a relationship in which they're not afraid to say that they're in a relationship with you. I want you to know that showing up as yourself is important, that you are truly beautiful and kind, and your eyebrows may be a little funny, but you figure that out as well. I want you to know that you don't have to perform in order for people to love you. However, when you joined the choir and you joined the performance, that feeling and that shining changed everything. It changed everything for you. Your love for music has healed you for years and years and years and will continue healing you. Your love for the stage never went away. In fact, you'll be happy to know we're on one at least once a month, regularly. Your too muchness that you've experienced from a really small age and tried to break out of you as a teenager has only gotten better. With bigger stages and bigger crowds and more people to listen to, you are seen, valued, and worthy. Teenage Tamika, I understand the hurt that you felt and the loneliness that you felt, and I promise you that that didn't last forever. Dear college Tamika, girlfriend, you are where we shined. The college years were some of the hardest years of my life and of our life, but that's where you decided to shine. I'm very proud of the fact that that's where you decided to find your voice, where you decided to find relationships that didn't require performance, that you decided or discovered what love was and what love wasn't, that love didn't have to hurt, that love could be fun, that it could be free. I'm sorry that you experienced a world in which so many people cheated on you, but that was just because you were cheating on yourself. You abandoned you so much for everybody else that you lost the signs. And I'm going to tell you, you find those signs again, and you find love again. Dear college Tamika, specifically 21, I want you to know that the hurt that you're feeling and the anxiety and the signs and everything that's happening doesn't last forever. I want you to know that the trauma that you feel from the experience with your father doesn't last forever. Right now, the pain is hollow, and you feel hollow and less than and abandoned once again. But the best part about it is that you find your voice again. That kid, Justin, who you really hated because he told you that God wanted this to happen to you, you forgive him so very big. You forgive him. And you realize when you're later on down the road that your life couldn't look like what it does now without him. I want you to know that healing through the trauma was one of the hardest things that I had to do. but one of the most beautiful things that I had to do. And so while it feels like this pain will never end, I want you to know that we become the best of friends. Dear 22-year-old Tamika, who feels abandoned once again, I want you to know that your mom leaving was the best thing that could have ever happened. It was the best thing that she could do for her at the time, and it was the best thing she could do for you, because you would have never spread your wings without her. As you advance into a career that you've always dreamed of, I want you to be aware that this is not the worst it's going to get, but it's also the best that it's going to get. No, it's not going to be. That's not true. Stop that. I want you to know that this is the worst that it's going to get. Dear all of the youngest versions of me, the teenager version, the college version, and the young adult version, I want you to know that in your healed version, you're so very proud that you didn't succumb to the temptations of ending it all. It would have been easier. It would have been freeing, but you would have missed out on so many beautiful, wonderful things in life. You see, the unhealed version of me did not want the pain and the suffering. The healed version of me now knows that it had to exist in order for me to exist. I want you to know that we've forgiven those who have hurt us. I want you to know that life gets really fun, that you go through trials and tribulations with your thoughts, with your body, with life and experiences. But with every hard, there's good on the other side. Dear young Tamika, your biggest dream was to be a mom, and you have the best children on the planet. You see, I think that part of our ambition in being a mom was to work through generational trauma that has existed for centuries inside of our family. And with these two beautiful babies, you're battling it every day. You see, I fully believe that God picks his toughest warriors for his biggest challenges. And all that happened while we were younger, the identity, the being hidden, the not being loved properly, cared for properly, seen properly, all of that had to happen because those are battles that existed so that we could get through to the next level, so that we could break through the curses, so that your beautiful children don't have to experience the feelings and the life that you did. Dear unhealed version of me, I want you to know that it is okay to be scared, to be concerned, to feel less than and unloved and unworthy. It is okay to have those experiences, but it's not okay to stay there. And we didn't. Today at 35, I'm surrounded by people who love me, who challenge me, who want me to work harder, be the best version of me. I'm surrounded by people who call, who show up. The abandoned, lonely feeling that you felt all of your life doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist primarily because I decided to find myself. I decided to fall in love with you and all of the ugly versions of who you used to be. All of the ugly versions of the thoughts we used to have. And all of the ugly versions of the what ifs, the whys, and the hows. I fell in love with them and I healed the story. I healed the story that set us free. And so I'm just so very proud of you for going and surviving through all that you did, because it was a wonderful foundation for the best years of my life. I have 2,600 Sundays left on this earth, God willing. 2,600. And because we did the hard work and we healed through the ugly. The next 2,600 are going to be the best of my life. So I appreciate you. I love you. And I'm sorry for what you went through. But just know, we turned out awesome. That's it. So if you listen to the whole thing, I challenge you to write a letter to your unhealed self. All of the things that are hard for you to think about and look about and talk about from when you were younger. And also tell the younger version of yourself that felt unsafe or unseen or uncared for, that guess what? Now we are a safe adult. We are a safe adult, and we made sure that we're cared for, seen, heard, loved, worthy, and too much. And that is a very beautiful thing. So write that letter. It's a very powerful thing. I wrote it at 3:00 in the morning this morning, and added a couple of things as I was speaking. But it's a very powerful thing to talk to your younger self and say, hey, I'm really sorry, but guess what? We turned out awesome. So with that, I bid you adieu. I hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.